Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Girls Who Like Hoops podcast. I'm Tori. I hope you guys are having a great week and have been having great weeks before now. I know I disappeared in there. Yeah, I know. I thought that I had a very different vision for how my Olympic coverage, quote unquote, was going to be. And it wasn't that at all. I'm going to keep it a buck with you guys. I'm really nervous to be here today. Because I haven't been here for like the past 2-3 weeks. And now I'm like thinking, oh my gosh, what if the episode's bad? Do I really even have a lot to say about the Olympics? I don't really know. But also I did want to come here this week because I had been very silent. And there was a lot of things going into that. Anyways, I thought that I was going to be on here every week, but I actually really low-key needed a break from basketball, but also simultaneously, life is still, for lack of better words, life is really kicking my ass right now. Like, guys, we still ain't got no job. There's still no job on the horizon. Like, I'm down. I'm troubled. My loan servicer, they want their money. Okay? You know what I'm saying? It's bad. It's pretty bad. I've been applying for jobs. Nothing but rejection emails. I'm trying to keep my spirits up, but like there's only so much spirits that can be up when you're financially stressed. So there's that. But like and subscribe, guys. Follow. Go check out the TikTok page because actually TikTok is really where I'm getting paid right now. I'm about to go start scooping chicken salad again down at the Chicken Salad Chick, which is not at all where I want my life to be or where I thought my life would be going. But I'm not going to get into that in this podcast. That's not what this is for. That is for the other podcast, and I'm going to get into that over there. So if you're interested in hearing about that, my podcast, In Distress, is available everywhere you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. Anyways, but back to the basketball. Life got really hard, and so I was like not really into doing anything. I wasn't really paying attention to the Olympics until I want to say maybe like late last week. I didn't start paying attention to the Olympics, and then I went back and watched the women's games and stuff, and then got thoughts together on that. But I was seeing a lot of people's commentary, and so we're going to talk about that, people's thoughts about the Olympic teams and stuff. We're also going to talk about some of the contenders in the WNBA and what I think that I would like to see from them. And if you're interested in hearing just like, you know, just some conversations about women's basketball, whether it be college or professional, I've been going live with this amazing creator on TikTok. Her name is Justice Collins. She's really great. She does really in-depth analysis and stuff and does like breakdowns of like the history of stuff and talks about college and talks about, you know, teams and expansion and what that looks like and what are the rules and stuff like that, like really deep into the stuff. So if you're interested in that kind of commentary, definitely go check out her page. I'm going to link it below in the description of everything you're listening to this on, whether it's YouTube or whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever. Everything's going to be in the description. Her and I have been going live this week, and it's been really fun. We'd be on there for like a couple of hours, and we talk about, you know, we talked about Unrivaled. We talked about, we even the other day put together like who we think was going to be on the Valkyrie list for their team next season, because they get to pick some from each team or whatever, and then, you know, they get draft picks, I believe. But we talked about that, and it was a really fun time. We talked about like college, and she's had like some of her friends on who kind of like have more of a background in like college, like what that looks like behind the scenes and coaching and what it looks like recruiting and stuff like that. And we talked about a lot of those things. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff or just want to hear some people yap every now and then, we go on live on TikTok, and it's a great time. We go at least like 3 times a week. So go and follow me over there, or follow her, or follow us both. Honestly, follow us both. And then we both have like videos that we put out throughout the week. And then also we go on live and talk and stuff like that. So if you're interested in that, please go do that. That was a long spiel. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna lie. Like I told you guys, I'm a little nervous. I made a drink before I got on the mic, and it was supposed to be calming my nerves, but if anything, it's probably made me a little more nervous. Anyways, that's besides the point. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to say before we get into the basketball stuff. I don't think so. All right, I don't even know what to talk about first. This was just a really exciting day. And because I'm wearing Steph Curry's jersey right now because they just won the gold medal, I'm going to go ahead and say congratulations to the men's 5x5 team. That was probably some of like the best basketball that I've watched in a while. And for me, I think it was like, yeah, they played good. And we're going to talk about like this stuff. Okay, blah, blah. But like for me, I think just watching people do something that they love and like it's not just them playing at like this super high level, it's also them being happy and being excited about it and like seeing like, and the commentators kept saying this throughout the entirety of the game about how like nobody ever really seemed to like question anything. It was just like, you know, people taking accountability for like, oh, I made a mistake there, that's on me, but like they never panicked. Like it was always just like, we got this, like we're gonna be fine, like we're good, we're gonna go out there, play hard and get the goal. Like it was never like a question in their mind. And yeah, that is so great. And to see players like LeBron or even Steph and KD like at their ages playing like this very high skilled and high level of basketball, that's really great and that's really cool. But to me, I think the thing that I enjoy the most about watching basketball is to see people enjoying doing what they're doing. Like, and for me, that's why Steph Curry is one of my favorite players, because I go out there and I watch him and I see him having fun and like he's doing everything. And it's like, yeah, efficiency is important and winning is really cool and great and important. But it's also like it felt like there was just a lot of joy out there on the court. Like when KD went and lobbed the pass up for Ant-Man to dunk, like, I'm sure that was like something he probably never even thought would happen. Like he's been a fan of KD like growing up watching him, and to not only be playing against him in the playoffs and beating him in the past like couple of months or whatever, but being his teammate and having him lob a pass up to you to win a gold medal, like that is really something that like you probably can't even conceptualize. Like it's probably something that you dream about, but you don't really know if that's actually gonna happen and come into fruition. So the fact that it did, like it was just like a lot of things. Like it was just a culmination of like you're seeing the young like being ushered in by like the older veteran players, but even more than that, you're also seeing players who maybe haven't gotten the opportunity to play in the Olympics in a while, or maybe you're seeing just like KD has been playing in like all the Olympics since he's been playing basketball like in the NBA, and now but seeing him next to LeBron and Steph and seeing how the three of them are able to work together, like it was just amazing. Like I don't even have words for it. Like there are so many things, and everybody on the team did a great job. Like Joel Embiid definitely carried his weight. Maybe not so much in this game, particularly at the beginning of it, but definitely he was in there. He was in there at some points. He was in the Serbia game. He played well. And then I think Steph really kind of woke up like maybe like 2 games ago and started playing well. And then at the beginning of this game, he wasn't really like shooting well per se. I think he was doing the things that you need to do as a point guard. Like I think he was really like making sure ball movement was happening. And, you know, he like always draws attention. So, you know, people aren't going to like just leave him to go, like they'll leave him to go guard somebody and now you have somebody else wide open. And when you have players like LeBron or Devin Booker or KD or Joel Embiid or AD or who knows who else, like if you leave any of these other people open, like you're going, like it's going to be a mistake and it's going to be a problem. And I think that he did that well, but then at the end of the game, like it really did start to get a little close. And I do want to say, honestly, shout out to Victor Wembanyama and some of his other teammates. Like France was not playing terrible basketball. It was just like, they just wasn't enough to get over the hump. And I think they just didn't have enough like offensively, but they played really great basketball. And it was definitely deserving of a silver medal. It was deserving like to be in that game against the best team. Like I just had a really great time watching. Like it was just, I don't even have words. Like again, and because I love Steph Curry, it was just like, everything was just happening like right when it needed to. Like LeBron knew when to like, you know, turn it up and go and get some dunks. He knew when to like, I don't know if you guys saw the play where he like did the spin move and he had like 2 or 3 people on him and he took the contact and finished the layup. Like it's like stuff like that you know that every single player is not able or is not capable of doing, but like LeBron James can. Or like it's like KD hitting like crazy fadeaways and jumpers and stuff like that, and it's just like that's what he does. Like it's nothing, like we expect that from him. Or like when you're watching Steph Curry play and hit these threes, like it's like this is only something that he could do. Like KD and LeBron were wide open on the other side of the court. He had 2 men on him. I'm convinced the man couldn't even see the rim and he shot it anyways and it went in. Like it's stuff like that. Like you know that people are like, we're never gonna see that again, at least not like in that same way. Like you have three of the best players in this era to touch a basketball playing together and winning a gold medal together. And it's just crazy. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think one other thing I have to say about this is that I know people were really upset about Steve Kerr and Jayson Tatum not getting any minutes. And I'm going to be honest with you. It's a really tough situation to me because it is to a certain degree. Like Tyrese Halliburton, he didn't play minutes for real. Like he didn't really get that many minutes, but he was just there and he was happy to be there. I understand the expectation is that if you win a championship that you think you're going to be getting minutes and stuff like that. But at the same time, I saw a lot of people say that, he's not the best. He's not the best of the people who can play his position. Like if you have LeBron or KD who can play that position, like why do you think that you would play before them? It's one of those things where it's like, these are the greatest players in the NBA. And it is like, yeah, sometimes you do have to take a step back. And I think to a certain degree, I do think that some people were upset because it is like, you do have to be understanding of that. Like, these are three great basketball players and you're probably not playing before any of the five starters. And I think it was just a really complicated scenario, honestly. But at the same time, I was kind of like confused because I was like, well, I mean, they're winning. So like, I'm going to be honest with you, if it was me, I'm kind of low key just happy to be there. Like, and I understand that maybe as somebody who is like a part of the team and is competing, you do just want to play. But at the same time, I think he's young enough to where it's like you will have the opportunity to play in probably the next 2 Olympics. And you're going to probably have, if not a starting role, which he more than likely will, like you're going to be playing heavy minutes or having minutes at all. Like, I don't know. I thought this was a really strange situation. And I was confused by it. I understand what people are saying. I understand both sides of like, you want to play and you won a championship, so you expect to play. And at the same time, it is like, you do have to be understanding that like, sometimes you are just a role player and maybe you're just not going to get any minutes. And that's okay. Like, nobody thinks that you're not talented or anything. It's just not your time right now yet. And I think that might be maybe the thing. Like, maybe it is a patience thing. At the same time, I can understand people being upset with Steve Kerr because if I'm honest with you, as somebody who is a big Golden State Warriors fan, I sometimes, like, I don't agree with a lot of the decisions that man makes. I think that he's very set in his ways in terms of like having a set rotation and wanting to do what he wants to do and having a specific time of when he wants to do it. And I think that that's something that's been holding the Warriors back for the past 2 years since they won their championships. And at the same time today, when I understand that people are upset about that and he said it was a mad thing and a time thing or whatever, and I don't care about the excuse or whatever. When I saw Steph Curry go and hug Steve Kerr after they won that game, I sat there and I was like, because when he signed the extension, I questioned it a bit. Lately, in the past 2 seasons, I haven't loved a lot of the decisions that Steve Kerr has made as a coach. However, at the same time, like, it's also understanding that Steph is not letting anything happen to Steve Kerr. I'm sorry, he's not. And it's a frustrating thing as a fan to like watch that happen because it is like, I understand why people are like, oh, Steve Kerr is such a great coach, but it's also like there are times when he makes questionable decisions. There are times when he does that. And at the same time, it's still me understanding that like him and Steph won 4 rings together and a gold medal now. There's nothing, that man's going nowhere. That man is going nowhere. As long as Steph has a say in it, that man is going nowhere. And I've just come to accept that. So it was kind of crazy to see so many people up in arms about Steve Kerr's coaching because it's just something that I've come to accept. Like I accepted that like maybe like a couple months ago. I was like, maybe they never win another chip because of the coaching decisions. Maybe they never win one. Maybe they never win a 5th one. And that's okay because 4 is pretty great. 4 and a gold medal. Hey, can't be mad at it. But that's what I wanted to say about that. Congrats to the men's team. It was really great. I had a great time watching. It was basically poetry in motion, honestly. And honestly, like to see Steph kind of put the team on his back a bit there when it was getting close, because it was like within like four or 6 points, and Steph just started shooting, and he hadn't really been shooting well that entire game. So the fact that he was able to do that, and it's kind of just like a timing thing. Like I really did think like a lot of times with Steph's play, it is like it's like he'll try, and like if things aren't going well, he's not going to force the issue. And then if he gets a golden opportunity to kind of close things out and put the icing on the cake, he is going to do that. And he's going to celebrate about it. Like he's going to do that. And I low-key be feeling bad for like the other teams sometimes, because it is like, if I had somebody like that, like just like there's nothing you can do about it, like 2 men in your face and you still hit the 3 anyways. It's just like, what are you supposed to do? Like, you can do nothing but like just be in shock and in awe of it. Like, there's nothing you can do, and I be feeling bad for them, but as a fan girl, I'll allow it. Anyways, enough about men's basketball. Moving on to they played really great throughout the entirety of the Olympics. But yeah, there was that South Sudan exhibition game where I was kind of like, oh girl, what's happening? But they tightened up. Anyways, on to the women's stuff. Okay, so I decided to come on and talk about the women's gold medal game because I just finished it and I haven't even edited the episode yet. So I decided to pop on and I have thoughts. I'm going to start by saying that it was I'm glad that we won. Gold medal, it was never in question. And you'll see that later on in this episode of the clips or whatever. But I'm not going to lie. There were definitely like some things that I think could have been worked on and changed. At the end of the day, though, like I think what should be focused on but won't be by people who like don't just like enjoy basketball just to enjoy it is that even though the team played like probably one of its worst games and like it was very sloppy, the fact that we were able to get the win regardless of by how much or whatever, like I think that says a lot more about this team and the culture and the chemistry and all of that stuff. I think that says a lot more about this team and about the country and all this stuff and about these players than people are going to be willing to give them credit for. Like, yeah, there's always going to be moments where, you know, you want the win to just be flat out. And I'm going to be honest with you, because I was live tweeting on the Girls Like Hoops podcast Twitter account. If you want to go see my reactions, you can go and check that out. But I think for me, I kind of wanted them to have to like compete for it. Like I did not want this to be an easy win at all for them. Like, because it is like, oh yeah, like, okay, you guys have done this so many times. Yeah, I want you to have to work for it a little bit. Like, I'm here to see a game. I'm here to see you put everything on the line. And I feel like I got that. I don't feel like I got cheated out of the experience of watching this game, because yeah, it would have been so cool to go and watch them go and just like blow them out of the water. But that was not going to happen. Like, this French team played amazing. Like, honestly, Gabby Williams, the things that she did today, phenomenal, honestly. And I'm excited and hope to see her, you know, like whatever she decides to do, whether she stays overseas and plays or if she comes back to the WNBA. I'm excited to see that. Like, it is about like that growth in the game and being on the biggest stage and whether or not you can execute and get the job done. And regardless of how they got the job done, I'm glad they were able to do that and they won. I think, first of all, I'm going to start with the coaching decisions. Definitely, yeah, the first quarter, I definitely thought that like there should have been like maybe some more changes. Not even necessarily the first quarter, but maybe like the first half in general. I thought like adjustments should have been made earlier on. And you could see that adjustments that took place in the second half, like Cheryl Reeve was a lot more willing to make those adjustments and to put people in, sub them out, whatever needed to happen at whatever point in time. But I do kind of wish that she was more willing to do that. At the same time, though, the combinations that she was using at the beginning, they were things that had worked in the past. And I will say, yeah, you do have to throw new things at the wall as you progress and as you go on, because yeah, they're on the scouting report, and yeah, you might need to go to your bench a little bit for people who didn't play that many minutes to, you know, throw something new at them. But at the same time, I can't be mad at her for sticking with what worked for the past couple of games. Like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And it was looking broken in the first half. I think, yes, it's really great that she went and made those adjustments in the second half, but would have loved to see more of that maybe in the first and second quarter. At the same time, though, again, these players, and when they were playing together, the combination that she put together, like they were never not working until they weren't. So I can't be mad at her for that. And also it is like, sometimes I think that as players, you do have to settle in and like, kind of like, let the nerves fall off and stuff and then like get into it. So I can't really necessarily be mad about that in the first quarter, but in the second quarter, I was definitely expecting to see different combinations and lineups quicker than I saw them. I will say, I think that this is kind of tough because I'm seeing a lot of people's like opinions about it, and I'm seeing a lot of like Twitter talk when it's really is still coming down to the fact that like, yeah, you can be critical of the game, but it is also like you do need to put respect where respect is due. Like, these players played well. Like, Kelsey Plum came in there, changed the energy. Kalia Copper came in there, changed the energy, played well offensively and defensively. Sabrina came in there and she played well. Like, you cannot take that away from those players. And it's really like, I'm kind of confused as to why it has to be this conversation like on WNBA Twitter or whatever about shoulda, coulda, woulda. Like, oh, if you had this person there, this would have never happened, and this, that, and the third. And it's like, that's not the reality that we're living in. And I need people to be okay with that. I'm going to be very honest, very frank. Yeah, maybe having Caitlin on the team would have changed things, but questioning that now changes nothing. Like, as soon as the team came out, that was nothing about the roster was changing unless somebody was injured and couldn't go. Nothing about the roster was going to change. And I wish that people would let that go and maybe talk about something else, because it's a useless conversation because we're not living in a reality where that happened. Or even like Angel Reese or some other players for that matter. Like, that's not, they just didn't make the team, and we had what we had to work with. They pulled out the win. And I wish that maybe just the game as a whole was maybe being talked about. Their win would be talked about more and celebrated more than constantly trying to critique every situation, everything that happened. At the end of the day, Asia had like 21 points, I think like 13 rebounds or something. Like, yeah, it wasn't a pretty win by any stretch of the imagination, but the win is a win. And the fact that they were able to win when so many of their players maybe didn't get off to the start that they wanted, I think that that says a lot about this team. Like, imagine if they had been on. Imagine if everybody on the floor when they played great and amazing, and everybody was putting up double digits. Like, oh yeah, imagine what the team would have looked like if Jackie didn't foul out. Like, things like that. Like, this French team was gonna come to play regardless of who was out on that floor. Did they win or not? Did they get the gold? Yes or no? And they did. Like, they met the expectations. If anything, exceeded expectations. And like I've discussed, I discussed later on in this episode, like, I think people are being extremely hard on athletes this year, and it's kind of just like an increasing thing, and it's not fun to watch, because it's like, if we're here for a good time, like, there is a certain level of like, you do need to respect these people. Like, I can't do what they do. You can't do what they do. If you got put out there on that Olympic court, you would have got cooked. There's no question about that. I wish that people were getting the respect that they deserve. Like, these players went out there and they played hard, and that should be the thing that we're talking about, and that should be the thing that we're focusing on, but it's not. And yeah, that's something that they have just accepted and live with or whatever, and it's something that I have to accept as a fan or whatever, and it's something that a lot of people have to accept. But like, to go out there and just be ragging on like every single decision, at the end of the day, did they get the win? Yes. And I wish that like, we could enjoy that instead of it being about shoulda, coulda, woulda, and if this person was here, it would be this, and they would have won by a way bigger margin if we had this person, da-da-da-da. We don't know that for sure. All we have is right now in the moment what we had to work with, and I am really happy and proud of this team. But that's all I'm going to say about that. Like I said, the girl on the French team who hit that half court shot, congrats to her. She did a great job. I think that the French team just didn't have enough, just like the men's team just didn't have enough offensively, unfortunately. Like, they were really close. Like, they were neck and neck, basically. I think they probably just needed, like, maybe, like, somebody else to, like, contribute. Maybe, like, 4 or 6 more points, and we would probably be having a very different discussion right now. But at the end of the day, the U.S. came out there and they were at least attempting to defend. Like, they were definitely getting out-rebounded for the majority of the game. But in the fourth quarter and in crunch time, like, they tightened it up. And like I said, they got the win. So I can't be mad at it. They did what they need to do. I think that this team is going to look very different in the next few Olympics. But, for the team that they put together, I felt like they sent the best of the best, and they went out there and got the job done. And if they didn't do well, like if they got silver or if they didn't medal at all, like, to me, to get to the Olympic stage is still insane. Like, you have to be the best of the best to get there for any competition, for any sport, whatever you do. Like, you have to be the best of the best. And they went out there and they competed against that, and they were that. It may not have looked the way that we imagine in our heads, but it is what it is. Sometimes you can't get everything you want. But that's all I'm going to say on that. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the episode. And I'm gonna go. Yeah. For the women's 3x3 team, I want to first of all start by saying I could never play 3x3. I could never do that. It was a little too much movement for me. And actually, like, just watching the games, it was making me tired. I was like, there's no way. Like, I don't think people understand how in shape you have to be for basketball in general. But, like, the fact that, like, there's no running back to get into, like, defense, like, you just got to start playing defense. Like, you make a shot, on to the next, like, it's you right back on like, I don't think people really understand. And actually, something that was really low-key kind of grinding my gears about people's hot takes about 3x3 this year was that there were so many people saying things about this team and about some of the players. And it's like, okay, but could you get in there and for 10 minutes do what they did? And if the answer is no, even damn near, if the answer is yes, actually, get out there and prove it. Put your money where your mouth is. I was not loving some of the commentary in terms of, like, some of the Olympics, like some of the Olympians this year. I wasn't loving that. There were people talking trash about, they could have got this medal if they had this person on the team. They could have had that, and they could have done this. They could have done that in the third. That's not the reality that we're working with. So what now? There was a lot of people who had a lot to say about Haley Van Lith and about some other people on the team and about Ryan Howard. And yeah, maybe some of the players did struggle a little bit. I'm not saying those two in particular. Maybe some of them did struggle a little bit at some point. It takes time to figure out how to play together. Like, Cameron Brink was supposed to be on the team. I'm sure if Cameron was on there, the chemistry maybe would have looked a little bit different because she had played with Haley and had probably played with some other people by then. But that's not the reality that we were working with. She got hurt. Somebody else had to come in there. Ryan Howard, yeah, maybe she didn't really, it took her a second to get in there. Okay, and this is a lot. I'm just saying, people were being very critical of some of these women's teams when it's just like, girl, I know for a fact you couldn't get in there and do it. That's really crazy. Some people they be having a little too much to say. Some people have a little too much to say, and they couldn't even get in there. Because actually, let's talk about the fact that it takes a lot even to get to the Olympics. It takes a lot to even be out there representing your country, doing whatever it is you do. You have to beat people to get to the point of getting to the Olympics, to beat people and be considered the best in the world at that time. Like, it takes everything to do that. And the fact that people were being so dismissive of some of these players and of some of these honestly took me aback. Because one thing about me, as a fan, yeah, I come on here and I talk about the games and what people did great and what they can work on and stuff. I try not to be overly critical because more than likely I could get my ass whooped in 3 minutes on a basketball court. If anybody that I've ever talked about says like, oh, one-on-one, I'm getting cooked. And I know that and I understand that. Maybe if I trained up a little bit, but that's a big if. So you're never going to catch me doing too much. But some of y'all had some unmitigated gall this year watch your mouths and watch your backs, okay? Because one thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna stand behind some women's teams, okay? I'm gonna stand behind them anyways. The U.S. 3x3 team got off to a rough start. I'm not gonna sit here and deny that. They were 0-3 at the beginning, and then, they kind of started catching their stride. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like, it does take time to get the chemistry together. De'Erica Hamby kind of got tossed in there after Cameron Brink went down, and we don't know what that looked like, what that team looked like, how often they had to practice and all that stuff. We don't know what that looked like. But that's neither here nor there. There were a lot of people who were on the internet talking about, oh, they got cooked. And so I was like, let me just go and watch. Let me go and watch the games and see if they really got cooked. And I'm going to be honest with you, that first game against Germany where they lost 17-13, I won't say that they got cooked. It was something adjacent to that. But I'm understanding of that. It takes time to kind of get your feet. We just got to Paris. Maybe my legs are a little wobbly. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I got a little sick. Maybe I'm feeling a little sick. Maybe I'm missing home a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm just a little nervous. I'm a little anxious. It takes time. It takes time to settle in. Maybe I got a little cold on the way here. We got a little altitude sickness, and we don't really know what happened there, so I'm not going to be too quick to judge. And here's the thing, I'm no professional viewer, as I've said, but they started off well with good energy. That's what happened. They started off good. It's not that they started at the beginning and they sucked. What happened was they started with good energy, high energy even, and then it was like Germany took a timeout, and then they just started sweeping the floor with them, and I was like, damn, it only took one time out, huh? They just needed to get that was embarrassing as hell. But you know what? I don't even mean that in a bad way. Like I said, defense just kind of fell apart at times for the U.S. team, and Germany just seemed more energized, and they just seemed quicker throughout the remainder of the game. I don't know what happened. I don't know if they just got tired or something, but like the U.S. started off good, and then there was that timeout, and then it was like they came back in there, and it was just destroy. And I was like, And once you start kind of getting cooked like that, it's hard to come back. It's hard to come back for something like that. And maybe that was their plan, was to kind of let them get going a little bit, get a little excited, and then to come in and kind of just pull the rug from under them. But whatever the game plan was there, it worked. It did. Anywho, July 31st, the U.S. played, I'm not going to say the name of the country because I'm going to mess it up. And I am not going to be ignorant and do that. So I'm going to put it on the screen. If you're a viewer, there you go. But the team that Tiffany Hayes was with for the Olympics, that's who they played. I want to say it's Azerbaijan, but I don't want to. If I messed it up, that is like my deepest apologies, because that's not okay. It's not okay. I'm pretty sure I said it right, but I don't know for sure. And if I didn't, my deepest apologies. On the 31st, the irony of this day was that the Australia team had played pretty poorly against Canada the day before. But then when they came back the next day to play against Germany, it was like a different team. I'd never seen anything like it before. And it was crazy. And honestly, it was a really great game. So if you have Peacock, go ahead and go back and watch that one. But the U.S. versus Azerbaijan, it was 20-17. It was a really close game. Honestly, I think that this was like maybe when they were like, I want to say this was their second game or their third game. I don't really remember, but I remember people had a lot to say because they lost the game. But they had played really well this game. I think this game to me came down to just execution. And at the time when this game came on, like, I was seeing a lot of people on Twitter talking about what this team needs to do in the future when constructing the team. And I'm not going to pretend to know what needs to happen, but I will say that the Tokyo team was good. I don't know if, like, maybe they need to just really get some WNBA players to, like, lock in and, like, want to be a part of the 3x3 team, or maybe they just need to focus their efforts on making people who maybe just want to play 3x3, making that just like a team that plays many years together. And then when it's time for the Olympics, they're ready and they have like the chemistry, because that seemed to be what a lot of the teams that they were playing against did. Like, a lot of the teams had played together for many years previously, and it wasn't just like, they got put together and this is the team for this year and the team for the next year is going to look different, and the team for the past Olympics look different. Like, to me, it seemed like there was a lot of consistency with the teams, and I think maybe if the U.S. wants, like, to medal again with the gold, and maybe, like, something like that, which getting a bronze again is more than okay and fine. They never gonna hear a no judgment from me. I couldn't do it. But if maybe they like have aspirations for building up a 3x3 team, maybe just getting people who are really like locked in and want to focus on doing just that, I think that would be something good to invest in the future. That Tokyo team was definitely constructed of 4 WNBA players. I believe it was Steph Dolson, Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, and Alicia Gray. And that team, they won gold. And I think for this game in particular with this matchup, it was just came down to like rough execution on the last attempt at scoring, because they had taken a timeout to talk about it and they drew a play up. And then it was like the play just didn't happen. And it was kind of strange. But to me, I thought if they wanted to win that game, that they probably needed Burdick in for the last possession instead of having Ryan Howard in, and maybe just allowing it to be Burdick, Haley, and De'Erica Hamby. But that's just me. That's what I would have done if it was me. But I also thought Tiffany Hayes, played really well this game, and she was left open for a layup, and that was ultimately the demise for them, which was unfortunate. But they played really hard this game, and it was a really tough loss for them. And that's really all that I watched the 3x3 team. They did end up playing against Spain, and people said that the refs were kind of like cheated them out of winning or whatever, which is so unfortunate. I didn't watch the game, so I really wouldn't know anything about that. But they did get bronze, so congrats to them. They had a lovely photo shoot, and I'm honestly happy that they got to win that. Like, honestly, really congrats to them, and I'm honestly happy that Haley Van Lith got to, go out there and play with some WNBA players, but also to just like get the experience of 3x3, because I know a lot of people, even Jackie and Kelsey Plum, have said that like, playing 3x3 really like helps like you like better understanding of the game, and just kind of helps with like spacing and stuff like that. So I think it was a really great opportunity for her, and I'm sure she's probably going to be maybe in the future on the 5x5 team. And it's honestly, like I said, congrats to her, and she needs to keep doing what she's doing, and she's doing great. And I hope she doesn't listen to anything that people on the internet were saying, because people on the internet are stupid, minus me. Anyways, on to the women's 5x5 team. I think something that's really cool, first of all, about these national teams is kind of seeing where these players who maybe are role players in the WNBA, seeing where they fit in with their team. And I think the perfect example of that, or even just like the women's team for the U.S., I think it's so cool to watch like all of these superstars kind of like have this understanding of like what it means for a team to win and what it means to be a team, and see how, they kind of just find their role in the team, whether or not it's like the coach asking them to do something specifically, or whether or not it's just them like actively knowing like, hey, maybe my role here is to be more of a role player instead of just being somebody who just, maybe goes out to be this like offensive juggernaut or something. And I think that that's really cool and an awesome thing about, and I think that that really shows a lot of maturity that you need to have, obviously, to play professional basketball, but like to be on a team like these, like, that are representing these countries, is like you do have to understand like when to not do too much and when to, kind of turn it up and give some energy. And I think obviously you see that with the men's team as well. It's like, yeah, you do have KD and LeBron and Steph, and you have Booker, and you have Bam Adebayo, and you have all of these players like AD and Jayson Tatum and stuff like that. Like, for them to be able to play together, it's like, yeah, all of you guys are really great separately, or you're really great for the teams that you play, but what do you look like when there's people who are equally as talented or like equally yoked as you? Or, like, what does that look like, and how do you respond to that? And like, are you able to like put your ego and your pride aside in the name of winning? And I think that's the coolest thing for me to watch when it comes to basketball, and really when it came to like the Olympic teams. But I think what was interesting for me especially with the games from August 1st, I believe. There were other games. I just didn't really watch a lot of them. Like, I'm going to keep it a buck with you. I wasn't really paying attention to some people. I wasn't. I think what was really cool about these role players, and like I said, like these games from like Canada versus Australia, is like seeing these players who maybe aren't like quote unquote franchise players or aren't like the stars, like the superstars of their teams, like seeing what role they play in their national team was so interesting. I think the perfect example of that is like Julie Van Loo from the Mystics. She played for Belgium and she played against the US, and she was out there. Like she was playing like, and she was playing amazing. Like she did a really great job and really like did a lot for the offense on the team. And she had a really big role on her national team. But if you go and like you're watching like a Mystics game in the WNBA, like that may not be what she's called to do on her team, or like that might be like some semblance of what she does on the team, but it may not always be like that same level or that same energy. And I think it also goes to show like how much these players care about, you know, representing their country. I watched the Canada versus Australia game, and it was a really fun game because I feel like I was equally invested in it because, you know, I liked some of the players from each of the teams, and there were a couple of players from the WNBA on the teams, and I thought it was really cool to watch. The thing about the Canada team is that I think with Bridget Carleton, I think that she was and is the answer for a lot of like the struggles that happened for Canada. Like when they needed offense, it was like Bridget's the person that you're going to. Like honestly, she was cooking. Like she started the game with a 3 and then just kept going with that. And I think that like when it came to that, I was kind of like, you guys know I like the Lynx, and again, I saw her play in the Commissioner's Cup, and she played to this extremely high level, and she was very aggressive that game. And, you know, obviously it wasn't just her that like really sealed the deal for like them winning the Commissioner's Cup. Like everybody was playing really well. The team was playing really great. And there are a lot of times when I watch the team and I'm like, if they're able to replicate that, like them playing, I think that was like their highest level of play this season. If they're able to replicate that every single game, I have no doubt in my mind that they would win a championship. And even if they come back from the break and they're playing to that level, like I have no doubt in my mind that like they would be in the championship conversation. I think something that's a little bit frustrating for me is that like to see her play that great, and then like sometimes she's passive, like sometimes she's not as aggressive, sometimes she hesitates on shooting threes. And it's like after watching her play for the Canadian team, it was like I hope that when she comes back from the break that I'm not seeing that hesitation, because she's too good to be hesitating. I'm gonna be honest with you. She started the game off with a 3, and I don't care what anybody says, she was out there cooking. Like most of the time when I saw the games, like, and I saw her playing, like she was the person who like had the answers. When they started really struggling against Australia, she was the person who came in there and was shooting and was getting them back into the game. And like, not to say that like, you know, she was doing it on her own or anything, but like, again, when it was time to really turn up the heat and get going, like Miss Girl was the one who was doing it. And it was just like, she was passing well and she was scoring and she was playing defense. She was just in there. I don't know how else there is to say it, but like she was in the game. Like she was hitting some fadeaways, and I'm telling you right now, if she brings that level back, like that aggressiveness back, and like that like kind of like confidence back into the WNBA when we come back from the break, I think Minnesota like has the opportunity to definitely be in the championship conversation. And not only that, to maybe even be like playing in a championship game. Like I think that they're very like, it's a very high skilled team. And honestly, when they play great defense, things work out well for them. And again, I think if things aren't on Nafisa, like, yeah, I think it was obvious and we saw that yeah, you need Nafisa on the court. Like you need her. They were able to kind of like hold on and stay in there like in those last few games of the season. But like, again, like people have said, like Nafisa's not somebody that you can just like replace easily. So I think for me, I'm excited to see how she comes back after the break. And even Kia Nurse, like she played fairly well this Olympics, and in this game she played well. Her thing was more so just getting the contact and getting to the line and stuff. It wasn't necessarily that like, oh, she was shooting crazy threes and was like, oh, was just doing a whole bunch. But like, she definitely, she played her role and she did what she needed to do. And I'm excited to see what that looks like after the break. Although I do feel like for the Spark, she doesn't get a lot of playing time. I don't really know what that is about. I don't know if it's just like they're trying to develop the young people that they have or whatever. But I do think that Kia Nurse definitely, she still has a lot left in the tank. And I hope to see that on display at some point in the rest of the season, or, maybe next season, maybe if she's still on the Sparks, or she goes to she takes her talents elsewhere, which nobody would be mad at. I think that would be a good look, but that's just me. Anyways, for Australia that game, their starting lineup had some powerful big names. They ended up winning the game, which unfortunate for Canada, but hey, what can you do? Their starting lineup, I don't remember who, actually I do. Their starting lineup was Ezzy Magbagor, Stephanie Talbot, Alana Smith, Jade Melvin, and Sammy Whitcomb. And honestly, Sammy Whitcomb was she played really well this game, honestly and truly. Like there's no, whoo, girl, she was in there cooking. But she played really well, and honestly, seeing Jade Melvin playing, and she had a lot of energy, and she was out there, she was facilitating, and Sammy Whitcomb, Sammy was, oh wow, the team looked so fluid when she was on the court actually, and I think having Alana Smith and Ezzy Magbagor like down in the paint and the post, like they looked really great together, and Stephanie Talbot, I think that she's a really great piece for that Australian team. And honestly, and also I can't think of her name, like her first name, but her last name is George, and she played for the Aces last year, and she helped them win the championship last year. She played really well during this Olympic run as well. And it was just fun and good to see, like, all of these players playing together and against each other. And it was fun. Like, honestly, the Olympics were just fun. Like, I was just happy to be there. You know what I mean? But Australia looked good this game. At the time when I watched it, I was like, I don't really know if this is like a team that's going to be like beating, the US or anything, but I was like, it would be really fun to see them, like, maybe if it's like a gold medal game situation, I wouldn't mind seeing it. But I think if anything, I've watched a lot of these teams so far, and it was kind of just like, I don't know that I believe that anybody really has enough in the tank to beat the US for 4 quarters. Like, yeah, they might get the best of them for like a quarter or two, but it would never be for like a super long stretch of time. If anything, like the only team that I could see doing that is the team that they're going to be going against in the gold medal game. But, even then, you just want to believe that nobody's going to get the best of the US. So, and to the people out there who aren't US listeners, sorry. Anyways, but on to the other things. But, Australia, this game, they beat Canada. And to me, I don't think that's really that shocking, because to me, I just think that Canada needs more. I don't really know what they need more of, but they already weren't really... I'm not going to do too much. But it was kind of just like, if we're kind of struggling against Australia, I don't really know if we're getting any too deep, and we're at the gold medal game, and we know now that it wasn't enough. And so, well, I just think Canada they just need some time to develop. They need some things, they got to work on some things, as a national team. They have some good pieces, and, maybe next Olympics we see something different. Maybe we see them a little bit more competitive. They're not scrubs. They're not bums. They just weren't necessarily exactly what we were looking for. You know what I'm saying? But I'm pretty sure it'll be fine. They'll be fine. In Australia, I definitely think they're on their come up. They're on the way up. They have a really great lineup. They have a pretty great team, that's held their own against some different people. it just wasn't quite enough. And they even ended up playing against the US. And at first, they were kind of sort of in the conversation, and then the US just pulled away. And once the US pulled away, it was kind of just, there was nothing else to be said. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, but next we have US versus Germany. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't really remember too much of that game. But KP came in there cooking, and Alyssa Thomas did a really great job playing defense. And I think that was a really good game. I think that was still during pool play? I don't really remember. I don't really remember much of anything at this point. That was so long ago. But KP came in there and she played really well. And Jackie Young, I remember. Jackie was in there and she played really well. And I liked the use of the Aces chemistry and that lineup of like KP, I believe it was Jackie. I want to say it was Alyssa Thomas, Asia Wilson, and I don't remember who the fifth person was. Maybe it was Stewie. Maybe, I don't really remember, but that was a really good lineup to me. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think some of the I've been seeing a lot of people talking about, how the lineup should be changed and how the coaching is not great and they're not doing this, that, and the third, and certain people should have more minutes and all this stuff. And I'm going to be honest with you. To me, I think there's a lot of things that could be said. I'm going to start by saying to the people out there who are still harping on the fact that a player that they like didn't make the Olympic team. I'm going to be honest with you. It's over now. It's over now, and it's been over for a while. When they announced the team, it was over. And there's no amount of you saying they should have been on the team that's going to change that. This is the reality that we're living in now. They're going to the gold medal game, and I can assure you that your favorite player that you want on the team is probably going to be on the next couple of Olympic teams. No doubt in my mind about it. They certainly have the level, the talent, all the stuff. They have the IQ, all the things. But it's time to get over that now, babes. It's time to get over that now. It's August 11th. We're wrapping up the Olympics. It's time to wrap that up. It's time to get over that one. I'm so sorry. She got it the next time, or they got it the next time. It's just not right now. And that's okay. Take a deep breath. Breathe in. Breathe out. Okay? She's going to be on, I'm sure, like I said, the next 3-4 Olympic teams. Everything's going to be fine. I promise. Everything's going to be fine. You'll live another day, okay? Anyways, about the starting lineup, I do agree and did agree at the time that the lineup did need to change. And by the time we got to US versus Nigeria, there was a lineup change and Diana Taurasi was removed from it. And it was then Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young, Nafisa Collier, Brianna Stewart, and Asia Wilson. And what I will say about this lineup, people were still unhappy with the lineup. And here's the thing. Y'all aren't the coach. What if I said that? Y'all aren't the coach? I feel like, and it's like, I get it. Sometimes it is like, okay, have your opinions, have your little critiques. Some of y'all were really drilling it into the ground, though. Like, oh, this person needs to be in there. This person needs to have any minutes. Why isn't this person playing? And here's the thing. Sometimes it really just does come down to matchup. Like, not everything is just like everybody's always going to fit into the game just because you like them as a player. Sometimes that person's specific skill set just isn't needed in that matchup. Sometimes, yeah, maybe they played a rough couple of 5 minutes or 3 minutes or something, and the coach is like, all right, that's enough. We've seen enough of that. And whatever they put together next, they're like, that's working really well. I'm going to stick with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I feel like everybody wants to be a coach. Everybody wants to be da-da-da-da-da. And the thing is this. You're not. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Like, yeah, did Diana Taurasi need to be in the starting lineup? I don't know. Would it have changed the outcome of anything? I highly doubt it. Diana Taurasi maybe getting 5 minutes at the starting lineup and then maybe not playing anymore. It did not change the fact that we're still getting this gold medal. It changed nothing. I'm sorry. I feel like because I'm hearing it's just so much complaining all the time about shoulda, coulda, woulda. You're not there. Like, you're not in practice. And the thing is, she did change the lineup. And people were still unhappy with the lineup. Then it was Chelsea Gray's not really looking that great. Chelsea Gray's not doing this. Nafisa Collier shouldn't be in the starting lineup. Y'all, first of all, this is politics. I don't know how many people have to tell y'all that. It's like if people are always saying it. Basketball national team is about the politics. It's about playing the game. And as unfair or whatever, like however you feel about that, whether you think it's unfair or not, it's a part of it. And it's what's happening. And I'm so sorry, but it's the truth. It's like the same people who are like questioning, why isn't Jayson Tatum getting minutes? Or why isn't Jaylen Brown on the team? This is about politics to a certain extent. It shouldn't be that way. Yeah, it'd be so great if everything was just about hoops. But we have to live in reality. It's not. And if your coach from the WNBA is the head coach of the team, yeah, you're probably getting the start. And what about it? The girl is out there playing defense. She may not be this, offensive juggernaut that you want her to be. That's what Brianna Stewart and Asia Wilson are on the floor for. That's what Jackie Young's on the floor for. We're not necessarily asking Chelsea Gray to go out there and give us 15. That's not what we need. We need somebody to pass the damn ball. We just need somebody to pass the ball. And people be acting like they don't understand the concept of that. Well, so-and-so could have been out there shooting the lights out and we would have been fine. That's maybe not the system that the coach wanted to go for. Have you ever stopped to think that maybe sometimes we just need good ball movement? Have you ever stopped to think about that? Maybe the version of basketball that you enjoy watching is not always the best thing for the game. Did you ever stop to think about that? It's like people think that only their opinion matters. That's not the case. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to be the person to break it to you. Yeah, sometimes there's a time and place for we just need you to go out there and shoot. And there's a time and place for we need you to go out there and pass, make smart plays, get the ball moving, get the defense off their heel. Sometimes you just need different styles of play, okay? And these are the people that they chose to do that. And there's nothing wrong with the decisions that were made because, like I said, they ended up at the gold medal game regardless. They're going home, hopefully, with the gold regardless. So it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what you think at the house. It doesn't matter because we're winning regardless. Anyways, because it was my last nerve because, yes, having a big lineup makes sense. Asia Wilson, more than likely the MVP this season. Brianna Stewart playing some of the best basketball. Okay, she's playing amazing, putting up good numbers, being consistent. Nafisa Collier is out there playing defense. Sometimes she'll go over there and hit the quick bunny. She'll hit, a shot or two here and there. We don't need her to be this offensive juggernaut because we have Brianna Stewart and Asia Wilson on the floor. I don't know what's confusing about that. It's like people are like, oh, she's not playing good. She's not doing this. She's not doing that. What do you want her to do? What more do you want her to do? She's playing defense. Hello. She scores if need be. If she's open, she scores for the most part. Some of y'all are picky and judgmental as hell. So some of y'all need to back up. Anyways. Pissed me off. Anyways, the U.S. versus Nigeria game, I don't really remember too much of it. I'm going to be honest with you. But Jackie, she's been playing really great, and I'm honestly glad she got the start. She deserves it. Been working hard. Plays excellent defense. She's always forcing turnovers. She can also, get the point going when they put KP in there sometimes. KP wasn't that great this game, but she showed out against Germany. But regardless, you have Alyssa Thomas out there, Jewel Lloyd has been getting some minutes, Sabrina Ionescu, who's else that other girl's name? Kalia Copper, she's been playing good. They be putting Brittany Griner out there, and that's some easy shots right there. Brittany Griner's taller than most of the people out there on the floor anyway, so honestly, the team is fine. They're good. They're fun to watch. They're good to look at. They've got some good pieces. You'll never hear too much complaining out of me, okay? I'm just happy to be here. Last game we have to talk about is this one they played against Australia to get them to the gold medal game. And Alana Smith and Ezzy, they were fighting for their lives down there in the paint. I mean, because when you think about it, Brianna Stewart and Asia Wilson are virtually like unguardable players. And once they really start getting into their spots and they start get going, like there's nothing you can do about that. I think that Alana Smith and Ezzy were the best. We're going to be like the best opposition and opponents for them. However, even when we watched them play, like, unfortunately, they were just getting cooked. And it's tough to say that. It is. And I kind of felt bad because it was like, dang, like, they just couldn't really get anything really going good. It was a damn shame, honestly. But they turned the ball over a couple times. And really, once the U.S. kind of started getting away from them, it was it was basically all said and done. But they were out there. And they tried. You know what I'm saying? They were out there and they tried. Australia, they were out there. They were on the floor. You know what I'm saying? They were on the floor. You know, Christy Wallace, she was getting her minutes. There's nothing really much more to say there. Jade Melvin, old girl stayed attached to that damn floor. I tell you, she kept trying to go in the paint. She kept trying to go in the paint, but it just wasn't working, you know? Like, everybody in the paint was tall, so it was just like, ooh, try to go in there and get in the paint on Stewie or on Asia or on Brittany or on Alyssa Thomas, and you're just getting met with basically just brick walls and hands. Like, I'm telling you, they were just in there just swatting and blocking balls. It was a shame. It was really hard to watch, honestly, because I was low-key rooting for, and I wasn't rooting for Australia over the U.S., but like I wanted to see Australia get a little further in than they did, and when they didn't, I was like, damn. But what can you do? But Jade Melvin, she stayed on that damn floor. It was crazy. I know her back was hurting. Anyways, the game tomorrow, it's gonna be a movie, I'm sure. I was going to talk a little bit about what some of the contenders can do. And I guess I'll talk about that real quick to kind of, close things off right. Aw. Sorry. I just saw a picture of my dog when I was going through my camera roll. Look. Oh, look at him. He's so cute. Oh my gosh. Oh, he's so cute. It's ridiculous. Anyways, sorry. I was looking for the picture. All right, so lastly, to close out the episode, contenders that I think are going to be coming back in the second half of the season, really going for that chip and really going, like, they're going full steam ahead. They need to be playing their best basketball. Definitely the Seattle Storm, the Vegas Aces, the Minnesota Lynx, the Connecticut Sun, and the New York Liberty. And then I think the Fever or the Sky are definitely going to be going. They're going to be trying. And making like a playoff push. From the Storm, I'm going to be completely honest. I really like the Storm. I'm going to see them play against the Dream. But I don't think that the Storm are winning anything this year. I just don't think that they have enough on their bench to kind of like get them over the hump. I think that they need more depth, and I think that that's something that they definitely need to be looking into and going for, maybe, in the off season or whatever. But I think if they want to contend, they would have to make a couple of moves, maybe on the bench, maybe sign somebody or something, waive somebody, I don't know. But I think in order for them to really, like, if they really want a championship this year, like, it would have to be a big push. And I think that they would need like a little bit more from their bench, and I don't really know if they're getting that. I mean, because when you think about it, like, this is a team that, like, for the most part, their starting five plays the majority of the game. Really, the only people, like, who aren't in the starting lineup who really get, like, minutes off the bench are, like, Sammy, Russell, Holmes, and maybe Victoria Vivian sometimes, but I just don't think that that's enough for like a championship. Like I obviously absolutely think that Skylar is really great player. I think NECA plays really great defense, and honestly, like, when she contributes offensively, like it like the team is basically unstoppable. When Ezzy plays great defense, and when she's playing great and she's hot, it's great. And when Jewel Lloyd is playing well, they're good. But I think they just need a little bit more than what they have right now. So right now they're contenders, but I don't think that they're winning anything. And maybe I'll eat my words on that later, but I highly doubt it. For the Aces, I think that, and well, my hope is that over this Olympic break that, this has really helped Jackie, KP, Asia, and Chelsea. And they're going to be, coming back like with a different type of like fire under their feet. I think with the Aces, I think that their Achilles heel so far has really just been like maybe them not communicating on defense. And like sometimes I know you're not always going to be playing, like you're not always going to have a great shooting night, not always going to be doing XYZ, but I think it really is going to be about them showing up for each other and communicating and like doing what they need to do, like doing the small things right, and that being the difference between winning and losing. But this is always going to be a highly competitive team, and I'm never going to count them out. Like that's my team for real. Like I love the Aces, and they have so much talent, and they've worked hard together, and they have amazing chemistry, and they've proven that they are winners, and there's no doubt in my mind that they can three-peat. There's no doubt in my mind at all. They're their worst enemy though. So whatever they do after, I think that what's been really great about this also is that not just the core three or the core four, really, not just the core four has been playing really well, but Tiffany Hayes, playing in the Olympics, she played really great in the 3x3, and you hope that same energy comes back with the team, and they come back in there ready to win, ready to lock in. Megan Gustafson has been playing well for the Olympics. And, you hope that, again, that these are players that come back on the team and, like they really get in there, they dig their heels in, and they just go and just start getting things done, like there's no question about anything. They go in there locked in, ready to play. I think if they come with that energy, there's nothing that can stop them, honestly. Next, we have the Minnesota Lynx. I like the Lynx, love them down without Nafisa Collier. This is a different team slightly. I think, again, if you have like Alana Smith playing really well, if you have Courtney Williams facilitating and playing well, contributing offensively, I think that Minnesota has the bench to win, like to be like in a championship game. They play really amazing defense, and a lot of times the same way that with the U.S. national team, like the defense has powered the offense. As long as you play great defense, like the rest is going to follow in my mind. And I think like Minnesota has done nothing but play amazing defense throughout the entirety of the season. So again, if we can get to the Commissioner's Cup level of play again, if we can do that and do that consistently, I think that there's no doubt in my mind that this team is going to like a championship team. And really, I talked about this on the live with Justice. I was like, this is crazy, because I do agree. Like if you sit here and think about it, like can they be beat? How many times in a row can they be beat? You know what I'm saying? Like, and it comes down to that at the end of the day. It really just comes down to that. And that's going to be the question for a lot of these teams. And with those first three, I think that you're not just beating them straight up. And then we have the Liberty, who I don't really love too much. I'm going to be honest with you. But Leona Phoebus, she played really well in the Olympics. Unfortunately, I do believe she went down with an injury. So, like, I don't really know how well she's coming back and like what the timeline on that is. I don't know when Benajelini Hamilton will be coming back. Like she got her surgery and stuff, and they said she should be back like within like a couple of weeks of like starting back up. But it's about like what kind of intensity does she come back with, how are Brianna and Sabrina playing, and are they, playing to that same level? And for them, I think that in order for them to win a championship, it's just going to come down to whether or not Jonquel is what she's giving you. I think that that's really what this comes down to me. I think they have a lot of great role players. Their defense is fine. They get out and they get those fast break points going. It really just comes down to how is Jonquel Jones. It's really what it comes down to. What is her style? What is her level of play? Is she doing what needs to be done? Is she doing what's being asked of her? And if Stewie's having a rough start, or if somebody on the team is not, necessarily contributing the way that we need them to, is Jonquel Jones going to be the person who steps up and does that? And that's what it comes down to me. I think that's Jonquel Jones is the difference between a winning or a losing. Like, that's what it is for me. And that's what it is every single night. It always is going to come down to, did Jonquel Jones show up tonight? Did she give us everything she had? Did she answer when we needed her to answer? Was she a reliable piece? And that's what all of this, a championship, if they have championship aspirations, it's coming down to Jonquel Jones, or whether or not somebody else can step up in her place to do that. But in my mind, nobody can fill Jonquel Jones' shoes. It has to be her. It has to be she's playing this high level skilled basketball that we know and have seen that she's capable of doing in the past in other places. But can she do that when it counts and when it matters? We'll have to wait and see. Then we have the Connecticut Sun. They made that trade, and I'm interested to see what it looks like, honestly. AT is coming back with, fresh fire. And, DeWanna Bonner is going to be there. I think Marina Mabry is going to be a great addition to the team. Dejanay Carrington is always going to come in there. And, she's made her leaps. And, it really just, I think, comes down to, I'm going to be honest, I don't think that the Sun are winning a chip. I don't think that they have enough. Maybe next year or something, but I don't know if there's a world where I think anybody else couldn't beat the Sun. Like the Liberty, I fear would wash the Sun. The Lynx, I think it might be close, but I think that the Lynx can definitely beat the Sun if the right decisions are made. The Aces, I think, can beat the Sun. The Storm can beat the Sun. I don't know if there's a world where I believe the Sun are winning a chip. I don't. I think every other contender, I'm not going to say could wash them, but I think every other contender could beat them, unfortunately. Then we have, the Fever in the Sky, and that's just interesting. I think Indiana, definitely, they need to make some moves in the offseason. For the Sky, I think they're working with something interesting. I'm interested to see how it looks post break. But that's all I'm going to say for now. I'm going to leave you guys to your devices. Hopefully we have a good time tomorrow. And I'll be over on TikTok celebrating the women winning gold. If not, well, we're not even going to think about that right now. But yeah, I do want to thank you guys so much for listening and watching and all of the things. I promise I'm going to be better. I'm going to have more things, real in-depth things to say when we come back. But I had a good time hanging out with you guys today. I'm trying to think if there's other things to say. Get in the comments and let me know if you guys want me to just do an episode that Saturday or something about the couple of games that are coming on, when we start back, or if you guys just want me to just skip it and then just come back that next week. But so go and vote in the poll or get in the comments. I might have an actual poll question. I don't really know yet. We'll wait and see. But again, thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll be here maybe next week, depending on what you guys say, or I'll be back after a full week of the game has started. So I'll see you guys next time, and I hope you guys have a really great week and all of the things. Bye.